right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the county board meeting to order. If members could make their way to their seats. And Dan, if you could call the roll, please.
Alpeter. Here. Atkins. Here. Connick. Here. Crawford. Darcy. Here. Goddard. Graff. Here. Paul. Here. Harris. Here. Howder. Here. Emig. Here. Jostein. Here. Longfellow. Here. Minold. Here. Mingus. Here. Crail. Here. Rich Stimson. Here. Schneider. Shortino. Here. Sin. And Chairman Zimmerman.
Here. We have a quorum. We'll do business. If we could rise for the invocation of lunch, please. Heavenly Father, what a privilege it is to live in a free country that you've given us. I pray that we can steward what you've given us in a way that honors you. Thank you for this county board and their willingness to come together and debate these issues. I pray that the decisions we can make in a spirit of unity, even in issues where we may disagree, but in a way that honors our citizens and honors you. Thanks for the citizens of Tazewell County and just everything that they bring to the table. They make this county what it is today. Thank you for our employees and the great job that they do. I pray that we never forget the hard work that they do in serving the citizens of Tazewell County. I'd like to lift up the farmers tonight as they're going very strong in the fields. I pray that you'll give them safety through this season and that you can bless them with an abundant harvest. We thank them so much. I lift up our first responders, Father, our deputies, our health department, those people that are on the front line. Just watch over and protect them. And thank you that their willingness to serve us as citizens. We know that you're a sovereign God in the midst of a chaotic world, and we take hope in that, and we pray all these things in your name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So as a matter of fact, that's where member Sin is tonight. He texted and said, I need to be planting tonight, so he has his priorities correct. All right, we'll start out with communications from members of the public or county employees, and I know that there are several that would like to speak tonight. Anyone? Yes. If you could just come up here and take a seat here, tell us your name and where you're from.
Howdy everybody, my name is Dean Nassinger. I'm from Hopedale. I'm the 6th generation to live on our family farm. We've owned since 1854. I know I talked at the land use meeting a little bit, but I wanted to talk to the whole board as well. And I noticed that people were taking notes during that time, so I thought I'd kind of bring an outline. That's easier to scratch the notes on, so my wife's kind enough to pass those out. I am here, along with a few others who are wearing gray, mainly seated back there, to represent the United Citizens of Tazewell County. We're a growing group of Tazewell County citizens working to protect our communities, rural neighbors, and farmland for future generations. This group slowly began to form over the last several months when a group got together to discuss pros and cons, to hear others' thoughts regarding the land leases from industrial wind floating around the county. As discussions and research deepened, so did our concern for protecting the rights of everyone in this county. And I'd invite you, if you get some time, to check out our website, www.uctcil.com. And that link is also on the paper that was handed out. Over the past several months, there's been a lot of conversations about wind turbines, as there have been 2 different developers signing up landowners for a lease. We're interested in how we're going to manage them as a county and what steps are being taken to protect the county's resources, homes, and most importantly, future generations. The lease from one of the companies being signed is for 57 years. A good example of how long that is, my daughter will be 58 when that's up. I think she's here, yep. 58 years old when that lease is all expired. So when you consider how much time that is, this needs to be a thoughtful decision-making process, as the leases and turbines will still be in effect long after almost every single person in this room is long gone. Decisions cannot be made with only today in mind. To put it in a little bit different perspective, if you go back 57 years, that's 1965. So how many things have changed since then in technology, farming, and just life in general? Throughout discussions, most people typically refer to the existing site in Hopedale when discussing the possibility of new projects. Due to the massive changes in the sheer size and technology, these projects need to be looked at completely differently than the first project. Rail Splitter's existing turbines are roughly 389 feet, while the new turbines could potentially and most likely will be double that size in the 600 to 700 foot range. And really they can be as tall as they want because our current ordinance doesn't have a height restriction. For example, or kind of a reference on that, the best comparison of these new turbines is the United States' tallest national monument at 630 feet, the St. Louis Arch. With this drastic size change, the county's ordinance needs to be reviewed in comparison. Our group has reviewed other local counties' ordinance, and most are 20 plus pages and have made improvements in the last few years. Tazewell County's is 4 pages and was last updated in 2009. Did these 4 pages from 2009 protect our community? Does it protect them in 2022, 2032, 2079 when 57 years runs up? It was nice to hear at the land use meeting a couple weeks ago some initial discussions regarding decommissioning of both wind and solar projects. Decommissioning is one of our biggest problem areas, as structures of this size need to have a detailed plan and funds properly in place for when that time comes. I ask that you take into consideration the people who actually be around when these projects become obsolete. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thank you, Dean. And I appreciate, we probably do need to update our ordinances, so I appreciate this being brought to our attention. I will be 118 years old at that time, so. Anyone else want to speak? Mr. Long.
Good evening. My name is Brad Long. I am a third-generation farmer and landowner in Tazewell County, and I'm also a representative of the United Citizens of Tazewell County. As Dean mentioned, many landowners in Tazewell County have been approached by wind energy companies to sign a wind easement agreement. The company that approached me and most of my neighbors in eastern Tazewell County did not define and has not provided many, if any, specifics regarding the size and scope of their intended industrial wind energy project. That in itself was cause for us to be concerned. The proposed easement agreement is 25 pages in length and includes language that did not seem favorable to us as landowners, and we decided it may not be in our best interest to sign this agreement. We decided to look deeper into the wind and solar projects. We've done a significant amount of research, particularly regarding wind. We discovered there are huge amounts of resources and studies that addressing issues we did not know existed regarding industrial wind projects. I'm just going to list a few of these potential issues that we've unearthed, and there are many, many more than what I'm going to bring to the table tonight. Turbine setbacks from rural dwellings, roadways, and municipalities. That's a pretty big issue, and the setback is basically the distance from where the turbine can be located to an existing or a dwelling or a roadway or a municipality. We've done some research on that, and the distance is significantly greater in many other counties than what we've got identified in Tazewell County. There's radar interference that happens with these turbines. In other words, you know, as a farmer, I rely pretty heavily on radar to see when it's going to rain, if it's going to rain, and oftentimes when I look at radar, I can see Lincoln as a green spot's down there, and I know it's not rain, but it has an effect on what we look at as farmers. Flicker from turbine blades causing a strobe light effect for large areas is a huge concern. There are many people that have been, that live in the country in places where these turbines are located, and it's just like a strobe light in their house. So, you know, we feel like the ordinance should address that and make sure that no one has to endure flicker from any of these turbines. Noise and infrasound from turbine blades. I mean, there's a certain amount of noise that comes off of the blades as well as when the heads are turning, and that infrasound is something that people say that they can feel and not necessarily hear, and it drives some people crazy. A big one for me is potential emergency life flight, EMT care, and medical evacuation issues. If I gotta have OSF come to one of my fields or my area that has turbines in there, and they have to navigate around these turbines, as you know, a few minutes can make a huge difference, and if they've got to do that, that could be a life-threatening situation. And when I'm out in the middle of the field, there's often no other way to get there. Migratory birds and eagle mortality rates from turbine blades, it's a noted fact that those are issues, and I don't know about you, but even 10 years ago, growing up, I never saw an eagle around here. It just didn't happen. And I just saw one 2 days ago flying around. So, I mean, they're here, and really, I'd rather not see them being in harm's way. Another factor is wind energy resources being pulled from non-participating residents due to insufficient setback guidelines. Wind energy companies require minimum distances between their turbines. Oftentimes, you know, I think it's in excess of 3,000 feet that they require between their own turbines, so that the turbulence from one turbine doesn't interfere with the turbulence or the efficient operation of another turbine. So even though right now we don't feel like, you know, that contract is such that we would want to sign it and wouldn't want to be involved in this particular project, technology changes, and it's been changing rapidly. And who's to say that I won't want to have a turbine of my own on my property, and I don't really want, I want to be able to have access to that wind energy source. So we feel like the setback should be at least the distance between the turbines that they're putting up in their own projects. Internet and television interference is definitely an issue with these turbines. We're concerned about, you know, inadequate wind energy companies' insurance limits of liability for everybody's protection, and maybe Tazewell County needs to be included, and the area residents need to be included as additional insured on some of those policies. County ordinances do not always address turbine height. Right now, I don't think we've got any height restriction in Tazewell County. It just says FAA guidelines, and I don't think FAA has an actual height restriction. And of course, it's a cause and effect type of deal. The higher and taller these things get, the greater setbacks you're going to need away from residents and dwellings and town or roads and all that. And ice throw, I didn't even mention the ice throw from these things. So these are a few of the issues that we've uncovered. The language regarding these issues and the wind easement agreements may not be in the best interest of Tazewell County residents and future generations of Tazewell County. With 2 industrial wind energy projects being proposed in Tazewell County, we believe now is the time to review and update the Tazewell County Wind Energy Conversion Ordinance that was originally established in 2009. We would like to provide you, the county board, the land use, ZBA, whoever needs it, relevant information to make this happen. We have many resources noted on our website, UCTCIL, and we are more than willing to share other pertinent information with you, and we want to help you do what needs to be done. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brad. Anyone else? All right, thank you so much. Any communications from elected or, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, please come forward.
My name is Amber Toll. I'm also a representative from the United Citizens of Tazewell County. And I'd like to share a little bit with you why I'm concerned about the future of agricultural land in Tazewell County. It shouldn't be a surprise to you that we're concerned with ag and residential land being used for industrial purposes. My brother Carl and I are fourth generation farmers and have been farming alongside our parents for a few years now. We've been learning all aspects of the business, including responsibility of making big decisions to the best of our abilities. As you all know, there's a lot of factors in farming that are out of our control. The installation of the wind energy conversion system increases these factors. I've become aware of the increase in U.S. farmland controlled by foreign investors. In the last 10 years, the total cropland controlled by foreign investors has nearly tripled, largely driven by foreign investors signing and buying long-term wind turbine leases. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the no turbine signs in the area, so I'd like to address them for a minute. These were initially put up to show that this farm was not signed up. We heard from our neighbors way too many times that they were being told that all of your neighbors are signed up. Your farm will be surrounded by them. You're the one holding up this project. Everybody else wants them. You're running out of time. The contract isn't going to change. It's the same for everyone. We wanted our neighbors to know that they had a choice and that they were not alone. With the information, the contract, the technology, and the protections available today, we're not in favor of signing up our land. From there, it grew to people who saw them and wanted to help inform the communities and also protect their rights. I'm thankful that my dad's not only looking at the potential money to be made today, but also looking at our long-term goals of a family farm. My parents are not only thinking about us, their children, but their future grandchildren, who no doubt will still be confined to the terms of this contract. If wind projects in Tazewell County go unchecked, not only will we be saying yes to technology as we know it today, but we are saying yes to future developments with very little say in the matter. Wind energy is quite an old form of energy. However, the turbines that are being built today are much different and much larger than hundreds of years ago. The technology is changing rapidly, and the amount of information and scientific studies available today is significantly more than just 10 years ago. You can see there's a lot of farmers in the room today that stop their planters because they care enough to be here. As farmers, we care for the land. We take pride in how we raise our crops and animals, and we strive to be the best stewards of the land as we can. It's our job to work hard and keep our land and soil healthy. It's why we implement practices such as cover crops, crop rotations, buffer zones. And Central Illinois has some of the best topsoil in the world. The building of these wind turbines will not only impact the pad where this is built, but will have an impact on every inch of soil that is crossed. Yet, as farmers, we'll continue to work hard and rebuild that soil structure and repair damaged drainage systems and the infrastructure. But just about the time that we start to see improvements, they'll be back to replace blades, back because there's a lightning strike, back because of the equipment malfunction, and much more. Someone brought to my attention that this is like a sheet of metal. Once it's bent, you can hammer it back out, but it'll never be the same. Another big concern of ours, I've mentioned previously, is decommissioning. Even if a bond is secured with the county, we're putting a lot of faith in others' decisions that directly affect our farms. For example, I've read the 2021 decommissioning plan for Sapphire Sky project in McLean County. They set a value of $84,500 per turbine as the decommissioning cost in today's dollars. Cash will be put into escrow for 10% for 10 years, and starting on the 10th anniversary, the plan will be updated every 5 years to determine the present day cost. I don't know how they came up with the value of $84,500, but I've read many studies and they show costs totaling $533,000, $403,000, $533,000, $403,000, and $646,000. That's after the salvage value at today's dollar. It's a big difference from $84,000. I don't know when these will be decommissioned. They will be someday, and they will be someone's problem in the future. There's so many other concerns I could talk about. Yes, we worry about health and safety, the liability, the preservation of our land, and most of all, we don't trust that when they say they'll restore our land to the condition reasonably similar to its original condition, that it will be up to our standards. leaving us with this quote. We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. By not having a moratorium in place to further evaluate the issues that have been brought to you today, there are hundreds of citizens put in place of many risks, including health, that they shouldn't be forced to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. All right, anyone else? Any other members of the public? Thank you so much for your input, we really appreciate it. We will address these issues, so. All right, moving on, any communications from elected or appointed county officials? I get a motion to approve the March 30th, 2020 meeting. Motion by Josting, second by Darcy. Any changes, additions, corrections? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We do have 3 in-place meetings tonight. The first is in-place property, Chairman Longfellow.
Thank you, Chairman. Sue, can you call roll, please?
Chairman Longfellow.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Rapp.
Here.
Powder.
Here.
Inning.
Here.
Josting.
Here.
Rich Stimson.
Here.
Shortino.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to open up some new business on approved building purchase, P 2202. Rich Stinson, second by Howder. Any questions or discussion on this from committee members? Mr. Harris?
Yes, I've heard concern on what the building is gonna be for, and I don't think they're members of the, property committee, but they were questioning what is the purpose of the purchase?
Right now, the purchase of the building of that one Capitol Street is for, to control and own the city block there, and also have, because it's only comes up for sale every so often, and right now it'd be for parking.
Yeah, I agree with it, but what does it have to do with the ARPA project, the Justice City delivery?
Right now, it'd be for parking for the Justice Center. They're right next door to it.
Thank you.
Monica?
I'm not part of your committee, but I have questions. How much property, is there a vacant lot on the back of this that's right next to it? Is any of that property, involved or included?
No, that property is owned by the city, and they're giving it to us.
The whole lot, the whole vacant
The
lot?
whole fenced-in vacant lot, the city of Pekin's giving to us for more parking.
Okay, was any of this discussed at the ARPA meetings, that this money would be given out from that? Was that voted on or discussed?
It's my understanding that it's approved by ARPA. It doesn't have to be voted on by
Who-
ARPA, because it's an ad hoc committee.
Okay, so who kind of chairs that ad hoc committee?
Mr. Graff?
Dick does. There's been extensive discussions on that purchase, and this is the vote tonight at property to take that next step. They've had multiple discussions about that.
Has the state's attorney reviewed that contract?
As we have lawyers that have written up the contract, and we've got looked at by Christy Webb and our lawyer Bob Brown, that was recommended by the state's attorney, and that was all finished by yesterday. So we have that all finished up now. Mr. Harris?
Another question. Is the ARPA committee disbanded? Is it done? Are there any more functions or any more meetings or?
I don't think it's disbanded. I think as needed, they'll recongregate and talk about what we need to do.
So, will there be any more discussions with on the building or any other thing that we're gonna spend ARPA? Do we have to go back? Or is the ARPA committee gonna?
So the ARPA committee came up with 4 overarching goals. Like the health department, the justice facility, lost revenue, and then the ARPA bonuses. And so they came up with those 4 broad areas in which to spend the money. Now, if things change, if we're not allowed to spend money in a particular area, we will reconvene. But right now, from this point, it goes to the individual committees. So if it's a new building, it's gonna go to property. if we have some contracts that will come to executive. I know there's been some talk about where we're headed with Tazewell County and a lot of rumors out there. I don't have a lot of answers yet, just because we don't know. We're at that initial phase where we're figuring out what we need and if we did, where we would put it. So this particular building would be a part of that bigger plan next to the arcade building if we proceed ahead with the justice facility. So there are some initial kind of spitball visions of what that looks like, but who goes where and anything like that is still in the planning stages.
Monica?
So you have an agreement with the city of Pekin that they're going to do this?
Yeah, the city of Pekin is bringing that up on their agenda. I was told by the mayor at the next council meeting that they will be giving us Elizabeth Street and that parking lot back behind the Tobin building.
When is that meeting, sir, do you know?
I do not know. I talked to the mayor 2 weeks ago about it. We talked to the mayor back in December about it, so it's in the works. How many?
I'm not on your committee. Okay. I guess just from my perspective, I am no real estate guru. But I guess I'm not aware that we have actually consulted with a real estate expert to make sure that we are, I've talked about this before, I guess, but, and the amount was, you know, value was kind of looked up, but being that we're going to spend this amount of money for a building we intend to knock down and make parking out of, I guess I just would like to make sure that we have consulted a real estate professional that can tell us that they feel like that is a fair use of money for what we're getting and what we plan to do with it, being that the building really isn't particularly inhabitable as it stands, and we're just going to knock it down.
I think we looked at the assessed values of the property at $300-some thousand. That's the property tax value of it and all that. I don't know how we can get an appraisal on that property. It is what it is. I imagine the value of the property is of the assessed value. I know the sale of the property that he had advertised was $275,000. So we're getting it cheaper than that, so go ahead.
Okay, but I feel like you can ask whatever you want for your property, and being that we are going to pay that value, and then we're gonna spend, I think you've estimated around $100,000 to knock that all down, and then invest more money into building a parking lot there. I guess I wanna make sure that we are wisely spending that money, that it's a good investment, and getting some professional advice on how we're spending that, that's all.
I think the committee, during our property committee meetings, had a consensus that this was the direction that we wanted to do and go, and that's because of the value or the property being available for sale. And we all know the history on the property, as far as the back wall falling down and these other things. It's just, basically it's the value that we negotiated with the owner that he would take no less, so. And then, like I said, the property committee consensus was to go ahead and go forward with buying this thing. Mr. Harris?
I agree with the purchase, cause it's contiguous to our property in Pekin, and it's a good buy, but I still don't understand and know what we're gonna do with the building, where it's gonna go. I know you're working on it, but what's going in there, at what time will we see how it's going to be built? And then if that is another 6 to 8 months, Nick or Greg, are we gonna be able to spend the money? about the time, the ARPA time restriction?
I think we've been working with Farnsworth, that's who we've had hired for the architecture. There is no timeline, although that we have told them that we need to get everything, architecture and everything done, and all the bidding and everything done by the year 2024. It has to be on a timeline, and it has to be built by 2026, they know that. And, as far as the ARPA money being available for it, I think we're in good shape on all that too, so.
With today's atmosphere, can we build the building in 3 years or 4 years?
I think we can. They act like we can.
I don't know, I'm just asking.
I mean, I would like to put a fire under them and get things done faster, but I mean, if we can get some drawings for the board to see of what we're planning on the Justice Center by this fall, that would be great. And especially before Christmas, but I don't know what the timeline is to do architecture and new buildings. I've never done it before, and I don't know how often the county's actually built a new building, so, in a long time, so we're up against some deadlines as far as the ARPA money, but I'm sure we'll get there. Mr. Howard?
So I'm just a little stuck on the taxes. Item 13, it says that the seller shall pay the 2020 real estate taxes payable in 2021. Does that mean that they have not been paid, and are they in arrears or delinquent?
His taxes are current, and that's just saying that his last year bill's coming this week, and that it'll be paid. We will be paying it in the closing fees as part of the purchase agreement, and then we'll also be paying the 22 what's prorated for 2022.
Okay, so that line that reads shall pay, he has paid the 2020 taxes in 2021.
His current, yeah, it'll be 2021.
Okay, so the estimated tax bill for 2021 paid in just a few weeks will be around
$16,000 plus the
therefore
prorate for 2022.
Okay, so then we're looking at another 7,000 for 2022's payable in 2023.
Yes. Prorated.
Okay. And do those taxes get reduced once the building's demolished?
Yes.
So they immediately will apply for a, okay. And ARPA money will cover the demolition, which you expect to be around?
Well, we haven't went out to bid for either of the buildings, so I imagine the demolition, it would be nicer to have both buildings at the same time, which would save us money. I had a preliminary conversation with River City Demolition just to have them come look at the building, give us a ballpark figure, and he was talking, depending on what he finds inside those buildings, he was talking around $300,000 for the arcade building, so it'll be around $300,000, maybe a little bit higher for demolition.
For demolition?
But we haven't got a bid or a proposal, so there'll be competitive bids on all that.
Wow. And so you're confident that ARPA will pay for the demolition?
I am confident the first $10 million can be spent any way we agree to spend it, so.
And ARPA will also pay the taxes and?
Correct, the purchase and the taxes.
So the demolition is more than the purchase price of the property?
That was just sitting in a pickup truck as a ballpark figure of what it would cost to demolish the building. And we're not, 2 buildings. And we haven't even talked about any competitive bids or using our own trucks or anything like that at this point in time. That was just, that's just because I knew we'd ask how much it'd be.
And then the eventual parking lot, possible parking lot, will be paid by ARPA as well.
Correct.
We're still in the preliminary, Monica. I mean, we can ask for a price on a parking lot, but we don't know how big the parking lot's gonna be, any of these questions.
What he was, excuse me, what you're just saying though is we're up to $500,000 plus, and not knowing anything about what's going on and how much more, and that's not even the lot. The lot's gonna be a lot, cause your blacktop and all of that is big bucks too. So this is really gonna be around $1 million just to put a parking lot there.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'd like to put this to a vote. All those in favor of the property committee, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, this passes. We're in recess.
Thank you, Greg. All right, on to an in-place human resources meeting. Chairman Darcy.
Thank you. Sue, can you please call the roll?
Chairman Darcy.
Here.
Correa. Here. Atkins.
Here.
Raff.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Emick.
Here.
Mennel.
Here.
Angus.
Here.
Rich Simpson.
Here.
Shortino.
Here.
Sin. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, so, ours is a little complicated how we're doing it, but, could I please get a motion to, actually what I'm hoping to do is pull, or I should say, we need to, we're gonna take resolution HR 22-07 and we're gonna remove it, and then I have a motion to put, revised HR 22-07 on the floor. So can I get a motion to remove HR 22-07? Yes.
I would make the motion to, remove it from the table.
Thanks, Bill. Monica. Nancy. Sorry about that. Yes.
I missed the reason why.
We'll go into that. We're gonna pull it mostly and change it. We're gonna put it in its place. Bill's gonna, recommend or put forward, change to HR 2207. Based on all of the, discussion at HR on Tuesday, just this same idea has been reworded to more accurately reflect what we're trying to put forward. So, all in favor of taking HR 2207 off the agenda, signify by saying.
You're technically taking it off the table.
Yeah.
It was tabled previously, so it's not taking it off the agenda.
Oh, true. Yeah, to take it off the table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so,
At this point, I would move to amend it, and the amendment, I'll read it. The first whereas would be amended to read, the county's Human Resources Committee recommends to county board to approve an adjustment to the non-union wage increase for FY '22. And the third whereas would be amended to read, this resolution will approve an adjustment of an additional 2% pay increase effective pay period beginning April 24, 2022, provided the employee has not already received a total of 5% wage increase in FY '22. I believe the remainder of the resolution would remain as currently stated in your packet.
can I get a motion for that amendment, to get that on the table for discussion?
You made the motion, I'll second it.
Okay, Nick? Yes, ma'am.
Do I understand the main issue on this is to remove merit?
Yes, ma'am.
And also you put a date in there of,
Yeah, we did a little talk, like looking into it after we had our meeting on Tuesday and determined that going back retroactively and doing a 2% and calculating all that was rather cumbersome. So we have changed it so that we will just start with this current pay period, an additional 2%. And regarding the merit piece that you just said, it is not a merit raise. What we are doing is we are not raising the salary scale. So we are not going to raise that bottom of the salary scale. We're just going to add on the 2% or up to 2% for anyone who has not received already 5% or more of a pay raise from November 30th of 2021.
that's what I
Okay, Monica?
Thank you, I'm not your committee, but I have
Okay.
a question. You've got 2% here, but in these previous ones that you have for the electeds and that, you're wanting, you're going to put forward a 3% on all four. Why the discrepancy?
This,
Why not keep it,
I don't.
Equal.
Okay, so Nancy is taking care of that side of it, and I have nothing to do with that, just based on where I'm sitting, so I'll let her answer that
What
No.
is that?
when we get to it.
And second whereas. Okay, that's already in.
Yes, ma'am.
What this does is increase the original 3% given December 1, adding another 2%, so the employees realize a 5%.
Okay,
Yeah, in total
Thank you.
for just non-union employees
okay, thank you.
only, not electeds, it doesn't have anything to do with that.
Right,
Yeah, okay,
I understand.
okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right, so, all in favor of, passing HR 22-07 as it has been?
A point of order.
Yes, sir.
You would actually be voting on the amendment at this point, so then we'll have to have a vote on it as amended.
Okay, for the amendment for HR 22-07, can you please signify by saying aye? Any opposed? Okay, so now we're gonna vote on the resolution as amended.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes,
We tabled this at the last meeting because there was some concern about a couple of specific employees, and I don't remember
Yes.
the details. Has that been resolved?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so, all in favor of HR 22-07 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna pass the rest of the meeting over to Nancy. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to, approve let's see, first we'll do the resolution and then we'll amend, no, that's the wrong way. I have an amendment, but I need to do that for resolution. That's what I heard the word, yeah. Okay, do I have a motion to accept resolution HR 2209?
I'll move.
Second, Carol, all those in favor? Okay, all right, now here's the point. I would like to, add to this, we need to, for the state's requirement, we need to add a dollar figure in, let's see, it's, the third whereas. Whereas receipt of any stipend from the state of Illinois under 55 ILCS 5/4-6001 will not be included in the calculation. The dollar figure is $6,500. It needs to be in that as an amendment. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll move to amend paragraph number 3 to include the $6,500 stipend.
And I'll second that.
Okay, and this is the requirement that the state has for us, that we do need to put the dollar figure in there. So while you're considering the 3% increase that we have on the table there, that's an additional dollar figure that both the treasurer and the county clerk receive from the state. And it's not part of the salary that we pay. Okay?
So with this amendment, that $6,500, is that included in this spreadsheet that we've been passed out?
No,
or is
it's
that-
not. No, it is not. But every treasurer and county clerk would get that.
So for the example, if this goes through as approved, the county clerk would be making in 2023 $92,594 plus $6,500.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. I was asking Christy about this today because I know that not everybody's aware that there are some fees that the state pays to the clerk and the treasurer for their services that help the state. And that's just an understood thing that's done every year. But this year, the state requires that we put the dollar figure in there, and we cannot touch that, and it is not a special fund. It is payable to the clerk or the treasurer. So on this first one, we have the, county clerk. Do I, let's see, I have a motion and I have an amendment. Do I have that? Do I have the motion with the amendment? Yeah, okay. Are we ready to vote?
Just the amendment.
I thought we did, I thought
Have to
we
vote on the amendment.
haven't voted on the amendment?
We have not voted on the amendment. Mike moved the amendment, I seconded it. We are ready for a vote on the
That
amendment.
was my explanation. Any questions on that amendment before we ask for a vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye on the committee.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, all those in favor of the
Hang
motion?
on, hang on.
Discussion on the,
So how did we land on 3%? Because I know there was another number, several numbers batted around.
well, this was a suggested figure as I left the committee the other day, so that's what kind of left it. Bill?
I know that, one of the motivations for the 3% was me speaking up during the meeting and saying, I think this is something we need to start discussing sooner rather than later. And I threw out the 3% because I think it's a fair amount. I think that, honestly, giving even 5% for the clerk and the treasurer would be a fair amount. The 3% seemed to me to be the highest that the other members of the committee were willing to support, which is why I threw that out, and that's why I'm going to support it.
Thank you. Any other comments on that? Anyone wishing to amend the motion or the amended motion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the Tazewell County Clerk, that is approved. And then we move to the Tazewell County Treasurer. And the motion is, HR 2210 is the resolution. Motion from Harris for the amendment to, for the motion, excuse me, for the motion. And a second from Emmy. Motion on the amendment, 6,500 needs to be added to that as well in the same position on that,
I'll move the
third.
amendment.
Motion to Harris and a second from, was that Hodder? Oh, Atkins, okay. Okay, discussion on that. Any discussion? Chrissy, did you wanna add anything from the meeting list? Okay. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And,
I'm on the.
Susan.
Oh.
Mindy abstained.
Mindy abstained. Okay.
Thanks, Sue.
Okay, those are the two that I had discussion on, and then the third one.
But that vote was on the amendment, right?
Oh, that was.
We need to vote on the motion as amended. No, we didn't vote on the amendment, did we? Yeah, right.
Okay, well, I thought we were done. Okay, so all those in favor of the motion as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mindy?
Pardon the confusion.
Mindy?
I abstain, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, good luck with the next one. You want me to do that? I can do it. Okay, the sheriff's, resolution.
I move to get it on the floor. I move to get it on the floor.
Okay, second.
I'll
From
second.
Harris. I think that pretty much explains itself. There's no input that we can give on this. This is just what it's going to be. So, any further discussion on the sheriff's?
Yeah, I have a question. Is 80% the total figure of his salary? 80% of the state's attorney's salary is gonna be the total of the sheriff's salary?
All right, I need a motion to amend this for $6,500. Second from Mindy. Any further discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment of adding $6,500 to that as well? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, do I have a motion for the, do I have a motion for the motion? For the resolution as amended?
It's already been moved. You just have to call it.
What's that?
You just have to call it.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's why this job is so much fun. Weird, and it's all my fault. No, it's not. Thanks to the state. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So,
that is all that we have for human resources, so we are out of our committee meeting. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mindy and Nancy. One more in place, committee meeting, the executive committee. Sue, if you could call the roll, please.
Zimmerman.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
Atkins.
Here.
Sonnet. Here. Darcy. Here. Rapp.
Here.
Emick.
Here.
Josting.
Here.
Longfellow.
Here.
Mennel.
Here.
Trail. Sin. Have four.
We have a quorum. Items B and C are being pulled. Can I get a motion to approve, these are our CDGB revolving loan fund motion by Conant, and a second by Darcy. We have Mr. Cummings here. There's a list of projects here. This is our old revolving loan fund that the state made us dissolve. The list of projects, although that's going to be pared down, are on sheet 3. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. We are adjourned from executive. That brings us down to the consent agenda. Item 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17, 18, and 19 will automatically be pulled. Item 14 is going to be pulled, and I'd like to pull item 15. Any other items?
Item 6, 13.
Item 6 and 13. Any others? Can I get a motion for the few remaining? Motion by Graff, second by Longfellow. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Can I get a motion for appointments A through G? Motion by Emick, second by Atkins. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Back to a regular agenda. Actually want to start with item 15, the employment agreement for our county administrator. Since Mike and his bride Jen are here tonight, can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Rich Stimson, second by Prail. Any questions? I don't know if you've all had an opportunity to meet Mike. If not, please make a point. And he brought his wife with him tonight to enjoy the fun also. So anyway, any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next month, it's not going to be Christie, it'll be Mike. So we're looking forward to it, Mike. Thanks so much. All right. Okay, no offense, Christie. So, yeah, okay. Let's go to item 2. This just came out of committee tonight on the approval of the building. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Mennel, second by Graff. Any questions on the purchase of the Tobin building? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Can you hold your hands up, please? Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, I need to be recorded as abstaining due to a conflict arising out of my law practice.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. Motion passes. On to item 6. Can I get a motion to, who pulled this? Motion by Prail, second by Harris. Mike, did you pull this?
Yes, I'm gonna vote against it.
Okay.
What?
Why? Too much.
Okay.
What's the increase?
I think the per diem's going from 60 to 75, is that correct?
Yeah, so the annual salary is remaining the same, and the per diem is going from 60 to 75, and the per diem is for, additional, all committee meetings not pulled forward that you attend, so requires attendance, and it also does include any special assignments as approved by the county board chairman. No, does not say that. But you can only get one per diem per day, and mileage that got taken out, and so we're back to mileage as per the board rules.
Greg?
Yeah, I've understood that one of the reasons to lower the salary originally is to kind of, promote attendance to, you know, and it's, now we're back to the original. I just wondered how we ended up, what the reasoning was to go from back to 12 on the proposal, 1,200 a year, and then now we're back at 24 where we started.
Okay, so, that is thanks to Mr. Graff, but, who then did vote against it, but, the reason being that there was, a couple members, I think Gregson and Nick Graff calculated out and felt like that the way the new salaries were written, that it wasn't any significant, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, any change really overall, that it was just going to leave everything pretty much exactly out how it was, which is, if we left, the lower salary piece at $100 per month. So there was an amendment made to bump that from $100 a month to $200 a month, which is what we have now. And that was what the committee approved, because they wanted it to have a net effect of being a little bit higher, like to give a raise. There had not been a raise to the county board for 20 years, and so the point was to look at giving a little bit of a bump in that. Did I say that correctly? Yeah.
Can't use hard money.
Did you have a follow-up, Greg?
Yes, this is for 10 years, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
Nancy?
Okay, so I understood there was a maximum of three, a maximum of three per diems, but it is not per month, as I understand it. It's not for every, you can only do one a day, but you could.
Yeah, we could always only do one a day.
Okay.
What it's been recently for the past 5 years is I've only approved 2 a month from a specific committee outside of Tazewell County business. So say you were on the Central Illinois Area for Aging Committee, and they decided they wanted to have a meeting every day for a month. I'm not going to approve a per diem every day for a month. You can get a maximum of 2.
But for clarification, this also then now covers committee meetings.
Correct.
A per diem for committee meetings as well.
Committee meetings.
One.
Right. That are county originated. There's a lot of, Tri-County Regional Planning, Central Illinois Area on Aging, a lot of other committees, and you do get a per diem for those committees, but only 2 for that specific committee. Does that make sense? So if you have a finance meeting, which is a county function, and we meet 4 times in a month, you're gonna get 4 per diems for that. If you're on Tri-County Regional Planning and they decide to have a meeting every week for a month, you're only gonna get 2, because I don't want outside organizations obligating the county. And that's what I've done for the last 5 years. So. I don't know if I confused the issue or made it, yes, Nick?
To respond to Mrs. Braille's question, in committee, I had proposed a cap on that, but it didn't come out of committee that way. I'm still in favor of doing that, but I don't know if there's an appetite of the board to do that.
Any other questions? Monica?
I will remind, there are a few of us on the board that realizes this, but it's not just 10 years. This was renegotiated back 10 years previous to the same thing. So this is like 20 years. This has been $200. So.
And it will remain $200 if it's.
For another 10
for
years.
Another 10.
So, some of us, it's kind of a voluntary thing. We don't get mileage, or I don't turn per diems in or any of that. And there are a few of us that do that. So I just wanted to remind everybody that this has been this way for 20 years.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Raise your hands. Okay. Motion passes. On to item 7, which just came out of committee tonight, the non-union wage increase. Can I get a motion? Motion by Emick, second by, second by Atkins. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. On to the county clerk. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Prail, second by Jostin. This came out of committee. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion.
Aye.
Oops, sorry, Bill.
I'm opposed.
Opposed, okay. On to the treasurer. And a motion to get this on the floor. Motion by Atkins, second by Graff. Any questions?
Just to explain my vote,
Yes.
why are we raising the salary of elected officials when they compete for the job and it's not motivating to them to have an increased salary? What's the justification for raising their salary?
Why any employer gives raises every year, I guess, is the simple answer.
Yeah, but not the board. But they're yeah, not the board, but they're elected officials. It's like it's the same thing to me as if a state legislature is voting on pay increases. They're elected officials. They're competing for the job. How is this motivating to them in any way? So that's my explanation.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments or questions on the treasurer? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And then finally, on the sheriff's salary, can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Shortino, second by Conan. Any questions?
So this is a mandate now,
It is a mandate,
and
yes.
is the state's attorney salary that it's based on also mandated?
Yes,
Okay, so double mandated. There's nothing we can do.
that's correct.
Okay.
But just as an editorial comment, the state is telling us that they're gonna pay 2/3 of this, but they're using our PPRT money to pay it. So, go figure that. So, anyway, done with my comment. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. On to the intergovernmental agreement with the city of Pekin on the enterprise zone. Get a motion to get this on the floor. Motion by Mennel, second by Atkins.
I call for it. I just want to know what this covers, why the increase, is it a new business, what's coming in?
So what they were doing, and Mark Rothard from the city is back here with Becky Cloyd, council member. Welcome, both of you. Essentially, it was a cleanup. It was tightening up the district. Part of the enterprise zone, for instance, went halfway across the river. You obviously aren't going to develop in the river, so it's tightening up those lines and making it more efficient.
But there was an increase in acreage, didn't I see about the 9,800 acres?
Mark, you want to come up and just cover any issues? If you want to introduce yourself, Mark, that'd be great.
Good evening, my name is Mark Rother, I'm the city manager for the city of Pekin. I believe the question is, what is the changes that are being made? So, in the city of Pekin, we're actually reducing the amount of square miles from 4.19 square miles down to 3.7. So there's a reduction there. And we're actually adding to the county's component, going from 6 acres to 6.37. So where we're adding acreage in the county largely is related to the city, like we're adding the municipal airport, which is in the county but belongs to the city, and the Gamble Farm that the city just purchased recently as well is also included into that square mileage that we're adding in the county technically, but it is adjacent to the city of Pekin. So on the net, we are reducing the whole enterprise zone down by 0.12 square miles, which gets us still under the 15 total that is allowed.
Any questions for Mark? Monica?
City still own property across the river?
We don't own property, but there is property that is in
Or
our,
is annexed into the city
in our
proper?
corporate limits, correct?
Yes, it is. So they're going to vacate that over there as far as the enterprise zone?
There is no enterprise zone over in that area.
Okay.
Now, Peoria County does have its own enterprise zone over that way. I don't know if it's covering
I don't
the
think
area.
so. Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Mark. All right, can I get a motion for E 2245, the tax abatement for the precision planning? Motion by Mennel, second by Atkins. Questions on this? Monica?
What's going on?
So the Village of Morton is, Precision Planning is building a, I don't know, 500,000 square foot facility in the city. And this is just part of the tax abatement that they're requesting for the county portion. Each taxing body has to approve this.
For how long?
I don't know, 10 years, yeah.
10 years?
5 years.
Oh, it's 5 years, okay.
I'm sorry.
I think, I think they pushed it up to 5 from 10 to encourage, there's some future development that they wanna see occur. And by tightening it up, I think they'll see even more development within that time frame.
Haven't they already received some abatements from the county previously?
Precision planning or the Village of
Or is that
Morton?
possibly through Morton?
This is a Village of Morton initiative, yeah.
Okay.
Greg?
Yeah, this is just for this project. It's a 90% abatement on property taxes the first year, I believe 70% the second year, 50% for year 3, 4, and 5. The precision planning abatement that was previously given is expired. I mean, that was the other project, so, it's, just for this, project exclusively, it's not, nothing else.
All right, any other comments or questions? Mike?
Is this, I'm not confused, but I guess I don't understand. This abatement allows them to build the business in Morton. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to, correct?
That's a decision that Morton has negotiated with Precision Planning.
So we're giving them a tax break, and what's the advantage to the county? Do we, gain more employment, or
Yeah,
business?
it's a 500,000 square foot factory or facility that they're bringing, so they're bringing the construction jobs, more employees. I think Morton is committed to $4 million sewer project to bring it out there.
What would that cost us in 5 years in tax revenue?
So right now, that particular piece of ground is just farm ground. So whatever our portion of the county tax, I mean, it's not gonna be
You're
much.
saying the 30% that we'll get could be the same as or more than farm ground?
It really could, yeah, now that you say it like that, yeah. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
So noted. And Tammy abstains, thank you. All right, moving on to item 17. Any motion to get this on the? Is this the? Yeah, motion, item 17, yes, it just came out of committee. Motion by Prail, in a second. Second by Mennel. This just came out of committee tonight. This is the CDGB grant and the spending on buildings. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, 18 and 19 were pulled off. All right, any unfinished business? Any new business? Okay, the bills have been sent out. If you had a chance to take a look at those. Can I get a motion to approve the calendar for May? Motion by Longfellow, second by Altpeter. Any changes? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Great.